I just don't know. I'm just at a loss for words. I mean, this thing is gorgeous. I mean, it's crazy how good this turned out. And not like this needs to be said, but just a reminder, we went from this to this.
Are you listening?
All right, so today's video obviously is going to be a little different. Welcome to the editing room. Recently, I saw this post on Reddit from FireCubX, who made their own custom Stadia controller. And the first thing that came to mind was, I have to do this. Like, I own the Wasabi, Just Black, Just White, and Founders Blue, but I don't have a custom Stadia controller. And since the fine folks at Google Stadia sent me a free Stadia Premier Edition when I pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077, I thought, why not turn that one into a custom Stadia controller? Now, when it comes to taking apart a Stadia Pro controller, I had no idea where to start. You know, there's no screw holes. I guess you could maybe pry this apart right here, but I don't want to break it. Like, I want this customized controller to actually function once I'm done with it. And unfortunately, YouTube wasn't really being that helpful. In fact, there's this terrifying teardown from Gamer Nexus where they used a Dremel to take apart the Stadia controller, and even I know that sounds like a terrible idea. What's up, YouTube? I've got a Stadia controller and I don't know how to open it. I'm gonna use a chop saw! However, luckily, I did find a video from Dig Farmer who does an excellent teardown showing you how to tear apart the Stadia Pro controller. And it's probably one of the best non-destructive teardowns that I've ever seen. So Dig Farm, if you're watching this, thank you so much. I could not make this video without you. In fact, please, if you're wanting to do this as well, check out his video. I'm putting a link in the description down below. Which, if you've never seen the inside of a Stadia controller before, ta-da! Here is the actual inside of the controller, all right? So you got two pieces, a lot of pieces actually. Here's the kind of the joysticks, as you can see them right there. If you flip it over, you can kind of see the rumble pads. So that's how the controller vibrates. You got the circuit board. Here's the battery, just some random parts. Oh, and of course, the Stadia on button. Let's focus in on that real quick. There it is, the Stadia on button. Fun fact, when I was a kid, my mom used to get on me about taking apart electronics. And if she's watching this video now, look, Mom, I made a career out of it. Now, FireCubX went ahead and spray painted his controller, and we have plenty of spray paint at my house, but unfortunately, I've spray painted plastic in the past, and I just don't like the way that it finishes. I mean, you get a lot of drip marks and you get spray marks, and if it's not even, it doesn't end up looking that great. The other option that we have is to use a paintbrush and to brush the paint onto the controller, which is probably the worst idea out of all of these, just because you're gonna get brush marks and it's gonna look uneven, and my OCD is gonna kick in and it's just gonna drive me crazy. So the other option that we have is to hydro dip the controller, which if you're not aware of what that is, don't worry. Neither was the lady at Home Depot who stared at me like I was speaking gibberish to her. But that's besides the fact. Hydro dipping is extremely easy to explain. You get a bucket of water, you put spray paint on the top layer of the water, and then you take your plastic, dip it in, and if everything works correctly, that layer of paint will stick directly to your piece of plastic. Which brings us to the topic of color. And honestly, I put a lot of thought into this. Because initially I was like, well, let's make a red Stadia controller in honor of the Nerf report. But then I realized Stadia could introduce a red controller tomorrow, meaning that this video isn't really custom at all. You could just go buy it off their website. So instead, being a very extra individual, I wanted to make this controller as crazy as possible and to embrace my inner childhood of the 1990s and add as much bright neon colors to this controller as I could. So I chose light green, black, rose, neon pink, and yellow. All right, so we have the warm water, and then we went ahead and sprayed the Stadia controller with a white primer. That way the colored paint will stick to it better when we dip it in. But we're pretty much set to go. So without further ado, cue the sexy time-lapse video. All right, so that failed miserably. I think I made a mistake. I was supposed to be using cold water instead of warm water, and it just wasn't sticking. So the moment I stuck it in to mix it, it just clumped up. Anyway, I'm filling the bucket up with cold water, and here we go. Watch part 2. I just don't know. I'm just at a loss for words. I mean, this thing is gorgeous. So to wrap this up, I guess I'm in love with the finished product. Like, I really love the way that this turned out. I was worried when we cracked this open, the plastic for the controller is so soft that it did create some cracks and some deformities. But for the most part, because we did hydro dipping, it filled it in. Like, you can't even see where we pried this thing open. The other thing I would point out, if I could do anything differently, I'd probably change this button. I didn't color it because I wanted to keep the Stadia logo, but the one thing I could do is I probably could buy an extra Stadia black controller and take the button from that and put it there, because I feel like the black button would blend in really well. But in conclusion, I mean, I love the way that this turned out. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you a fan of the first ever Nerf Report original Stadia controller? Did this inspire you to create your own controllers? Let us know in the comment section down below. Hey, thanks again for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, which who wouldn't, hit the subscribe button right there. And while you're down there, hit the like button. Maybe even consider becoming a Nerf Report best friend, just like the people listed down below did. In fact, don't you want to see your name there? I know I do.